I did a video about 8 months ago showing you this 4-foot by 4-foot by 30-inch aquarium from Custom Aquariums. And if you watched that video, I bet you've been wondering what the heck happened to it. Why haven't we received any updates on it? Did it break? What's wrong with it? Is Lisa okay? Well, I can assure you I'm fine, and the tank certainly isn't broken, and I'm going to try my best to make sense of all of this. When I started talking to Custom Aquariums about getting this tank, the purpose is going to be for discus. The problem is, John and I have realized our water here isn't good for discus. We figured this out because my discus started dropping one by one, and after several months I was down to just one. This left me brokenhearted and took the wind out of my sails for a while. But then I had an idea. Now, I don't want you to get too excited over this idea because I've changed my mind again, but my idea was Frontosa. John and I have always loved Frontosas, and I thought it would be incredible to get 8 or 10 of them for this tank. In fact, we talked to Mark from Aquariums Unlimited about getting them for us the day he helped us bring in the tank. So the tank sat there for a bit, and my thought was that I was setting it up for Frontosas, so I started planning an Aquascape for him, but here's the problem. I'm not exactly fast with decisions like this. I get a bit obsessive about these kinds of things. What kind of rocks am I going to use, and where am I going to get them? Am I going to put driftwood in it? Are there plants that Frontosas won't destroy? I know it sounds like real first world problems, but this is a big tank and I want to do it right. Well, about 2 months goes by and, well, I don't know how else to say this, but I changed my mind. Again. I know, this is getting ridiculous, right? Trust me, I have a good reason for changing my mind, and it has nothing to do with the Frontosas. I still love that idea, but I had something happen that made me look at this completely differently. So I started the process of setting this up for a completely different fish, and when you find out what that fish is, you're gonna have one of two different reactions. You're either gonna say, that's the sweetest thing I've ever heard, or you're gonna say, that's the biggest waste of a big aquarium I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll be revealing to you what fish I'm putting in here very soon, and if you're someone that thinks it's a waste of this tank, I just want you to be aware of two things. One is, this is my tank, and I can do whatever I think is right with it. And two, I could care less what you think, if it's negative. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing set up. First was sourcing the driftwood and rocks, and we went to 2 different places in 2 different states to get them. For the rocks, we went to a landscape supply place in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I literally hand selected all of the rocks. This place has bags that you can fill with rocks, and no matter how many rocks you get or how much they weigh, it's just $10. I ended up getting like 7 or 8 bags. It was kind of funny. Next was driftwood. I had a very specific look I was going for with this, and just going to a pet store that has some larger pieces of Malaysian driftwood wasn't going to cut it. What are the odds that they'd have exactly what I was looking for? So we went direct to the source. And no, I don't mean that, we went to Malaysia or anything. We went to a place called Compass Rose Driftwood and Aquatic Supply in Nags Head, North Carolina. This wasn't our first time going there, and it's always a lot of fun. It's basically a warehouse full of driftwood. It's an aquascaper's playground. We were very fortunate because the owner met us out there and said, hey, knock yourself out. Take your time, pick out exactly what you want. And well, I did exactly that. Like I said, I had a vision of what I wanted, so I started digging through these mountains of driftwood till I found a piece or multiple pieces to put together to match what I had in my head. John and the owner just talked about aquariums and the industry for probably an hour while I did my thing. I was like a kid in a candy store. It was so cool. Now is where John's gonna have fun editing because there's not much footage, but I'll do my best to describe what I did. This was a long process of starting at the bottom with the larger pieces of driftwood and then stacking rocks around it. I wanted it to look like there was a big pile of rocks with the driftwood sticking out of it, like it's coming out at you. Sort of like, you know, one of those 3D type things or sci-fi, I don't know, something cool like that. If you've ever done any kind of art project, you know you have a vision in your head of what you want it to look like. But explaining that vision to someone, it really isn't easy. I explained it to John multiple times and he tried giving me suggestions and I'd be like, nah, that's not gonna work. And he'd be like, well, just do whatever you're gonna do and let me know if you need help. I feel bad because he just wanted to help, but like I said, when you have a vision in your head, no one else is gonna be able to see what you're talking about. You've just gotta go after it and try to make your vision a reality. These pieces of driftwood are really big and will definitely want to float. So while I was placing them and knew they were in the exact place I wanted them to be, I siliconed them down to keep them in place. Then I'd silicone rocks to them to also help keep them down. I'm not gonna lie, when it came time to fill it up, I was quite nervous, wondering if they'd stay down. Luckily, as you'll see in a minute, it worked. One of the things that happened during this whole process was Carl thought it was fun to get into the tank and explore, or just sleep. Carl, you're not supposed to be in my tank that I just escaped. That's bad. What are you doing in there? Today is the day that I'm finally adding substrate to this aquarium. It has taken forever, but I am finally getting it done. There's been so much back and forth, carrying the buckets, rinsing the substrate, you know, getting all the gunk out of it so that it's not all mucky and stuff when I finally fill it up with water, which will be later, and I'm so excited about that. But yeah, today is the day. The substrate goes in, the hardscape it's been done, nice and siliconed and just, it's good. It's good. I'm really excited. And I can't wait to show you what this is gonna look like when it's all done. And I'm so thankful to Carib Sea for sending out this amazing product called Supernaturals. I used this when I escaped a tank at Aquascape last year and I fell in love with it. I love it because it's exactly what it's advertised. It looks really natural with a bunch of different colors instead of just plain sand. I rinsed out each bag in a 5-gallon bucket and dumped it into the tank. There's really no special trick to this. It's just clean it and dump it into the tank. And for the record, John did offer to help me with this, even though I didn't offer to help him with his tank when he put the substrate in. But I said nope, because I decided this is something I was gonna do and I wanted to do it by myself. So now we're on to the fun but really scary part, which is filling it up. I'm not gonna lie, I was freaking out when I was filling it because like I said before, I siliconed everything down. But these pieces of driftwood are really big and just wanna float. It takes forever for them to get completely waterlogged and stay down. Fortunately, it worked. Everything stayed down, and it's been a couple months, so I feel safe that they'll stay that way. Of course, the water has some tannins in it. This was totally expected because there's so much driftwood, and we really didn't have a way to soak it. So I'll just have 300 gallons of iced tea for a while till it settles down. This would be a nightmare and totally unacceptable if it were one of John's tanks because he's not a fan of this look, but to be honest, I love it. I think it's awesome. I know it's taken forever to get to this point, but I gotta tell you, it's well worth the wait for me. I'm absolutely thrilled with how it turned out, but this project is far from done. In next week's video, John will be showing you the process of installing the filtration and all of the plumbing and pumps to get it running. Plus, he'll be installing the incredible Kessel lights on this thing, which will look absolutely amazing, and you'll get to see the final results of the Aquascape. Wait a minute, Lisa. We're looking at the Aquascape right now. Well, no, actually, you're only looking at half of the scape because my vision wasn't only the inside of the tank. This Aquascape continues outside of the tank and it's incredible. So if you're not subscribed, you definitely should because you'll want to see that. Plus, the week after that is when I'll finally reveal the fish I'm putting in here. My decision of fish for this tank will definitely infuriate some people, so if you want to see the chaos that's bound to happen from that, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Anyway, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye!